Greg Louganis, considered the greatest diver in history. Breaking records and innovating the sport, Greg was able to make an impact not only in diving but in society. During a time when diving would receive little attention along with the issue of gay rights and HIV, four-time Olympic gold medalist Greg Louganis would change this. Along with being a successful diver, Louganis was openly gay and tested positive for HIV, giving him more attention that he would use to be a worldwide influence as a gay rights activist and a diver. Greg Louganis was born on January 29, 1960. As a child, he was a victim of bullying and experienced depression throughout his years as a teenager. Not only was he beaten up and ridiculed at school for his speech impediment and dark complexion, but he and his sister were also beaten by their father. These hardships caused Greg to turn to drinking and smoking at a young age, but his talents in diving led Greg in the right direction, making it his way out of the hard life that he was experiencing.
My salvation was diving, because then I could focus on that. And unfortunately, if I had a bad workout, I had a bad day. If I had a good workout, I had a great day. I could deal with anything.
Louganis first made his mark during the 1976 Olympics in Montreal, where he placed second in the 10-meter platform event, and therefore earning himself a silver medal. Despite his second-place finish, he was favored for 2 gold medals in the 1980 Moscow Olympics, but was never able to compete due to a U.S. boycott from the competition that year. This caused Greg to focus hard and prepare even more for the 1984 Olympics in Los Angeles, where he would experience a great deal of fame from his accomplishments in the meet. He finished with 2 gold medals in the 10-meter platform and 3-meter springboard event and broke a record, being the first person to earn above 700 points in the platform event. Yet, even with Louganis' successes throughout his competition, he would reach his peak of fame in the 1988 Seoul Olympics, where his comeback win in controversial events would make him known worldwide.
During the preliminary event of the 1988 Olympics, Louganis had a substantial lead over the other competitors through the first 8 dives. When the time came for the 9th dive, Louganis continued his usual preparations of visualizing the dive and mentally preparing himself. He stepped onto the board to perform his dive. Greg Louganis had hit his head on the board, leaving his audience in shock and putting him in 5th place. He was humiliated but wanted to continue in the competition as he was still in contention to make it to the finals. He received 4 stitches to complete his last 2 dives, which were much harder. Despite being nervous, he was able to complete one of his most difficult dives, the reverse 1.5 somersaults with 3.5 twists. He executed the dive, and as he rose up from the water, he received a thunderous applause, with 87.12 points, the highest scoring dive of the competition. With his amazing comeback and his gold medal on 3-meter, Louganis received even more endorsements and was named Athlete of the Year. The public admired him for his courage throughout the competition, and he made appearances on various shows to talk about his experience. But this was the public's perspective of Greg's comeback win. But in Louganis' eyes, the competition had a totally different meaning. Let's go back to Louganis' 9th dive of the preliminaries.
When Louganis hit his head on the board, his mind was exploding with nervous thoughts as he had just been diagnosed with HIV 6 months ago. His fear of harming someone else was more important to him than his injury. He feared that if he bled, he could infect other divers or the trainers who operated on his head. Questions filled Louganis' head. Only a few people knew about his disease, including his coach. He later found out from the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases that there was a very little chance that he could infect someone else. Even though some of his stress and guilt was alleviated, he would still be living with an enormous secret that would eventually need to be revealed to the public. Later, after an interview with Oprah Winfrey, in 1995, he publicly spoke about being gay and having HIV for the first time, making this a focal point of his legacy. When he revealed his secrets, there was a great controversy. Many thought he was wrong not to say anything during the Olympics, because he could have affected other divers, even though it was proven that the chlorine would have killed the virus. All of his endorsements were taken away except for Speedo, and many people thought he should have his Olympic medals taken. Greg was able to use this attention to bring to the public new views on the issue of HIV, convincing people that it was okay to come out as being gay.
After retiring from diving, Louganis went on to aid others in the sport of diving. Not only did he help the U.S. Olympic diving team, but he also exchanged his knowledge of diving with other countries. We talked to Sarah Bacon, a member of the U.S. Olympic diving team, about Greg Louganis' impact in China.
So Greg Louganis won the Olympics in 84 and 88 on both 3-meter and platform. And at that point in time, the U.S. was unbeatable in diving. We were at the top of the world. China couldn't beat us. Russia couldn't beat us. Nobody could beat us. And then Greg and his coach took a trip to China and taught the Chinese all of our ways, taught them how to pull belts, how to do trampoline, how to do dry board, gave them all the equipment that we were using here in the U.S., and then China became really good in the sport and started beating us.
Because of Louganis' travels to China, the Chinese divers have gone on to win 9 Olympic medals in 6 Olympic competitions, making them a strong competitor against the United States.
Louganis also explored the impacts and issues about HIV in order to inform the public and bring more attention to it. At donations to the Mark S. Bonham Center for Sexual Diversity Studies in Toronto, he contributed to the education of the issues involving sexual identification. In addition, he continues to work with the Human Rights Campaign to defend the LGBT community and those who are diagnosed with HIV. By doing this, Louganis is able to explore and bring attention to the issue of gay rights and HIV. In an article in Ability magazine, Louganis explains how he would have various fundraisers to continue to aid the Human Rights Campaign. This included having a swim for equality where people would swim 1.7 miles to raise awareness and funds. Despite Louganis' accomplishments, he encountered great amounts of hostility from the beginning of his retirement. Not only did the public resent him for his secrets during the 1988 Olympics, but as he advocated for gay rights and those diagnosed with HIV, he continued to receive hate. With much of America being against homosexual and gay rights, the public attacked many of Louganis' beliefs and ideas. Louganis would also experience hostility in other countries as he traveled with the U.S. Olympic team to mentor them. In the 2014 Winter Olympics in Sochi, Russia, he was kicked out of his hotel and was treated badly during the competition.
Louganis has created a lasting impact in America, especially on the issue of gay rights and HIV. He has created books and documentaries and given interviews and speeches about his life to tell people that it is okay to be openly gay. Furthermore, by aiding the Human Rights Campaign, he was able to earn rights for the LGBT community, such as the legalization of gay marriage. He also was instrumental in changing the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy that was instituted in 1994. This policy prohibited those in the military from harassing gays and lesbians who were closeted, but also didn't allow openly gay members of society to join the military. Louganis was furious because he believed that gay men and women had been serving this country for years. He also said the policy advocated lying to each other since only closeted gay people could join the military. His voice helped end the policy in 2011, allowing openly gay and lesbian members of society to join the military. With the short-term and long-term impact Greg Louganis has had on the LGBT community, he has created a legacy not only on diving but in society. He has innovated the sport by doing new dives that weren't done at the time and setting records such as being the first person awarded a perfect score. With his determined efforts to bring change, he has been monumental in gaining more rights for gays and lesbians. He continues to speak on behalf of gay rights and the issues concerning HIV, and therefore improving lives throughout America.